The horses in Mongolia are very different than what we're accustomed to in the West. They're very fast, they're very tough, they have very, very high endurance, and they want to go all the time. And the good thing is, there's only one word that you need in Mongolia for a horse to go, and that's tu. Tu. Tu.
The sky, the steppes, the beauty. This is Mongolia, and this is why we are here.
The expedition's aim is a mixture of community aid and scientific work in conjunction with the National University in Ulaanbaatar. The program has been organized by Professor Turbish, with whom I've worked for many years, and various scientists who are friends of his have come along to direct our work. We're mainly concerned with archaeology, botany and zoology. On the community aid side, we've been doing dentistry and also giving out school books.
In terms of the area we're currently exploring, both west and east of the capital city, quite a logistical effort to pull all this together, headed by Colonel John. Team approximately of 50, wheeled transport to get the initial distances to the area where we're interested in. And then a unique element, I think, to this particular trip, and for a nation that was founded on horses, that has been the primary focus, which brings in the additional local Mongolian horse expertise. And once we get to an area, set up camp with the logistical support from the wagons, mess tents, accommodation for all those involved, horses, and then small groups of up to 10 will then go out covering distances, potentially up to 30, 40 kilometres a day, round trip. And actually out here, some of the areas are quite inaccessible. Vehicles have struggled, particularly given the weather recently, slightly unprecedented rainfall levels, and no better way to travel than the back of a horse.
Historically, horses were the only viable means of transportation within Mongolia, and they were also really the only effective means of herding, livestock over large distances. And so now you have motorcycles and you have cars and you have all these things, but horses are still really valued, and when it comes to wealth, often it's still measured in horses. I think the reason for this is that, for one, horses were valued historically, and also horses are seen as a symbol of the country and of the aspirations of the Mongolian people.
And the difference between the European horse and the horses we have at home, and just the way we manage them, it's almost worlds apart. The approach to animal welfare and husbandry is different here. I think they need to be tougher. They don't have the luxuries that we have at home. These horses are brilliantly hardy, covering up to 40 or 50 kilometres a day without shoes on over rough terrain. They seem to do well on the grass. They all look in good condition, but just seem to cope with the mileage significantly better than you would ever see on a European horse. And I think that's testament to the way the horses here are managed by these guys. Their expertise is second to none in managing horses in a way that you just wouldn't manage them at home.
Mongolia is a place with very few roads, and even in places that are close to roads, there are often high mountains and very, very rough terrain. Cars do not really do well in these areas. Particularly when it comes to observing animals, we found that there are many species which we've been able to see using horses, which we would not have otherwise.
Ягаад гэвэл энд хээрийн бүс, за тэгээд ойн бүс, ойд хээрийн бүс, за тэгээд өндөр уул, тайг, гол гэх мэт олон янзын амьдрах орчин байдаг учраас амьтад нь олон янзын амьтанд тархсан байдаг. Онцлогтой. Хөхтөн амьтны хувьд бол одоо хандгаан за тэгээд хөдөр гэх мэтийн бас одоо маш ховордсон тийм хөхтөн амьтад байдаг газар.
We were able to put out camera traps which did produce some very interesting sightings. A lot of red deer, very like ones you get in Scotland, and also on one occasion 3 wolves.
The camera traps themselves, a simple but very effective design, and they are motion sensor primarily, either for snapshots or for video, and triggered by the animals themselves. We've been led by Professor Shah. He's taken us to areas where he thinks we've got the greatest chance of success, and some of those areas have been quite remote. Initial access with a vehicle or by horse, but then on foot into areas where he perceives or guesses we're likely to get the best results.
Ер нь бол би одоо 40 жил Монгол улсын их сургуульд ажиллаад амьтан судлаад явж байхдаа чоныг бол 2 дахь удаа л харж байна. Яг одоо байгаль дээр өглөө. Зүгээр нөгөө уул мөрүүдийн одоо зөндөө харж ясан мөр баас энэ тэрийг бол бүгдийг нь харж тэрүүгээр судалгааны ажил хийж исэн. Гэтэл яг амьд чон харах бол 2 дахь удаа байна гэдэг бол хүн болгонд харах боломжгүй байдаг юм чухал тохиолдол боллоо. Миний судалгааны чиглэл бол энэ жижиг хөхтөн амьтдаар одоо эрдмийн зэрэг хамгаалсан. Эдгээр амьтд болохоор нөгөө тухайн экосистем дотор яг суур нь болж өгдөг. Тийм учраас экосистем өөрчлөгдөж гин үү, өөрчлөгдөхгүй хэвээрээ байна уу гэдгийг тэдгээр амьтдын тоон дээр үндэслэж үнэлж болдог.
The box traps, they are baited primarily with grain, a food favoured by the local animals, which seems to tempt them in, and it's a simple trapdoor mechanism for capturing the animals live and unharmed. If we're fortunate enough to catch one of these animals in a trap, they then get put in a bigger observation cage, just sort of monitor how they are, weigh them, measure them, and an indication of how many animals there are in the area is the number that we catch, or if indeed those animals are in that particular area.
Судалгааныхаа үр дүнг боловсруулахад одоо юу гэх юм зөвхөн өөрийнхөө судалдаг амьтан биш. Бусад тэр амьтантай холбоогүй ч гэсэн тэр амьтдыг харж иж эцэст нь нөгөө экосистемээ бүхлөөр нь үнэлэхэд одоо хэрэг болдог учраас заавал өөрийнхөө судалдаг амьтныг хараад яваад байна гэсэн үг биш.
За би Монгол Улсын их сургуульд 40 жил багшилж байна. Ургамал судлалын багшаар ажилладаг. Монголын бүх аймаг сумуудаар ургамлын судалгаа хийж оюутнуудтайгаа хамт явсан юм аа. Энэ удаагийн энэ хан Кhentii 2023 гэдэг энэ экспедиц бол энэ бүс нутгийн эмийн ургамлын нөөцийг судлах, тархацыг тогтоох ийм зорилгоор энэ судалгаа энэ экспедиц ажиллаж байна. Нөгөө нэг зорилго нь болохоор энэ малын нөлөө ургамалд хэр зэрэг байна гэдгийг бас одоо ажиглаж судалж байна. Малын нөлөө, бэлчээрэлтийн нөлөө. Сүүлийн жилүүдэд малын тоо нэлээд өсөж байгаа болохоор бэлчээрийн одоо өв сургамал нэлээд их багасж байгаа нь ажиглагдаж байна. Яагаад гэвэл энэ дэлхийн цагуурын өөрчлөлт болоод ялангуяа Төв Азийн хуурай бүсэд хуурай шилтийн хэмжээ бол жилээс жилд нэмэгдэж байна. Температурын хэмжээ өсөж байна. Тэгээд күүтний үлрэл урт байна. Тийм учраас энэ судалгааг хийх нь бол бэлчээрт, ургамлын талаас тэгээд малаж авахта малын эдэж тэжээлийн тухайд маш чухал одоо тийм проблем асуудал болоод байгаа юм. Хувьдаа би бол яагаад гэвэл би хувь энэ ургамалжилтын аймгийг судалдаг ийм судлаачийн хувьд малын бэлчээр энэ өв сургамал хэвийн хэмжээд байх нь Монгол хүний хүн бүрийн нөгөө талаас миний хувьд бол одоо сонирхолтой судалгаа байна. Нөгөө талаар энэ бүс нутагт маш олон эмийн ургамал ургаж байгаа надад их сэтгэл хангалуун байна. Би бас ийм байгаа болов уу гэж бодож ясан хурц ирээд их сэтгэл хангалуун байна. Маш олон эмийн ургамал ургаж байна. Бэлчээрийн маш олон ургамал байна. Эмийн ургамалууд байна. Чимгэлдийн ургамлууд байна. Балт ургамлууд байна. Тэгээ одоо нэг зөвгийн балтай юм ургамлууд. Ийм олон ургамал байна да. Энэ бол одоо бас бэлчээрийн чухал ургамал байна. Энэ бол маш эмийн гоё ургамал байна. Энэ ингээд эмэнд одоо гэдэс өвтгөд уудаг ийм чухал ургамал энд байх жишээ. Энд одоо энэ ийм гэх мэтлэн маш олон ургамал энд байна да. Ингээд бичиж байгаа юм байлгүй дээ тийм ээ.
Behind us is a wall which runs from the edge of the valley there right the way around this area. It would have been originally 3.5 metres high, 2.5 metres thick, all using the local stone. And there are 4 hills around here which would have been used as lookout posts, so quite a major settlement. We're looking for other plants here and came across this tree, which is not, as we guess, or our experts guess, native to the area. Looking at the fruit on it, we think probably it's an almond tree. They think that perhaps this is over 300 years old and was planted by somebody. And of course what's happened since is that all these other bushes around here have spread out from it. So at the moment we're looking around to see if there are any flowers which will enable us to make a positive identification of what the tree might actually be. This is obviously an example of how we're supporting the scientists in getting them to remote locations and enabling them to go and look around the areas and to find out what might be going on or what might have happened here. What is quite interesting, just over my left shoulder there's quite a major outcrop, and apparently that was where Genghis Khan's horse was tied after his death. Must be a very large horse, but but there we are. I think it's more of a legend than an actual fact, but it all adds to the interest of the area.
Сүүлийн үед бол энийг хамгаалаад гадна талаар нь ингээд хашаа бариад одоо энэ дурсгал бол Монголд нийт 1500 дурсгал Евразиас байгаагаас 1200 бол Монголд байна. Тэгээд энэ буган чулуун гүшөөтэй энэ дурсгал өөрөө хүннүгийн үеэс өмнө одоо буг шүтэнтэй цагаан чон шүтэнтэй тийм хаан тулс байсан гэсэн хятадын сурвалжийн мэдээ байдаг. Тэгэхээр энэ бол хүннүгээс өмнө оршиж байсан Монголын одоо хамгийн эртний төр тулсуудын үлдээсэн дурсгал. Тэгээ Монголд хамгийн олон тоотой байгаа учраас энэ бол Монголын одоо хамгийн анхны төр тулсын дурсгал учраас энийг хадгалж хамгаалаад тэгээ гадна талаар нь хашаа хайс бариад тэгээд ЮНЕСКОгийн соёлын бүртгүүлэхээр манай судлаачид ажиллаж байгаа. Яагаад гэвэл Монголын хамгийн анхны төр тулстай холбоотой юм маш олон тоотод харагдсан юм археологийн дурсгал учраас.
Here we are standing over a prehistoric grave, slab burial, and these are deer stones which are characteristic of the Mongolian steppe, and they are completely covered with deer ornamentation. These are Bronze Age, and this is a very special one because it has a face over here on the top, and these are thought to represent some kind of human form, even though it's decorated with a lot of reindeer and other animals. And it has a belt, a shield down there, and this is the head. And this is only 1 in 10 in the world that have head ornamentation on them, on the top. The interesting thing about this is that it's been moved from its original position, where these are always facing east towards the rising sun, and reused in this slab burial as a tomb marker and a status symbol. And so we don't know exactly where this has come from, even though it would have probably been around here. So here again, just like on the other rock, but less so because it's thicker, you have a lot more, you have also the horse rubbing against it, scratching an itch. It just shows how long it's been out here, that these horses have used it. Because there's not so many trees to rub against. If you want to get an itch out, it'd be on this. And over here, on this side, we have the shield with its chevron shape made out well in the shadows, coming down, and a line, a spine coming up. There's many theories as to why it's the deer and nothing else that's being depicted. Not many people liked in prehistory to depict themselves or other human beings. That's why it's so rare to find faces on it. So deer and animals are often used as motifs to illustrate through them a certain symbolism that they find appreciative. And calling them deer is one thing, but also looking at their beaks, it might be that it's not just deer, but it might be that the deer represented something more, and maybe a catch-all for life flowing upwards to this eternal sun.
Now in Mongolia, more than half of the population is no longer nomadic. You have a city, you have Ulaanbaatar, and you have roads throughout the country, but this is still a massive, massive country. And generally, there are very few areas which are actually close to the roads. And unless you're in the city, there are many things that are hard to access. In the countryside, there are effectively no hospitals. At best, you'll have a clinic that's staffed by a few nurses, and medical supplies are often very hard to come by outside of the capital. Most of the small towns will have a school and a bank and a store, and that's about it. The fact of the matter is that the basic services are often very lacking.
I'm an America-based dentist. I was asked by John Blashford-Snell to come out and run dental clinics in multiple villages as the lead dentist, and overall we saw 54 patients, we did 57 extractions, and we provided 27 fluoride treatments to children in the area. The clinics where we treated patients were in rural communities that didn't have access to any dental or medical clinic. We were treating patients that had to travel over 220 kilometers to the nearest healthcare provider inside community centers, where essentially we worked on the floor of their stage that they used for any sort of community meetings, any festivals, things like that. These clinics are important for people out in these surrounding villages, especially in the rural areas, because their local dentists or doctors are over 220 kilometers away. They don't often see official healthcare providers for any sort of work, whether it's health-related, dental-related, medical-related. And usually, if they're in pain, it's something that they medicate themselves. The most important aspect that we provided as dentists and dental assistants and sterile techs coming over is that we could see patients who were in pain, patients who had chronic long-standing infections for decayed teeth or large cavities that had infected the nerve, to make sure that they were out of pain and to prevent future maxillofacial infections that would spread, whether in their face and was contained or could potentially spread throughout their body. Education is one of the foundations of medicine and dentistry overall, and the most important thing we do is take patients out of pain, but also to educate them on how to fix and prevent future problems and pain in the future. So the most important thing that we brought over were oral health supplies, and we provided not only children and their families with floss, toothbrushes, toothpaste from donors back in the US and from the UK, we also provided them with a walkthrough on how to use floss. And some of the patients I saw in Mongolia had never seen floss before, and we had to teach them how to floss, what to do in order to prevent cavities and years later potential infection. We also brought over plaque disclosing tablets, which dyes their mouth and bacteria inside their mouth bright blue, and it was a lot of fun walking through with kids trying to see and show them where they should be brushing in order to prevent cavities around their gum line and how to prevent periodontal disease. Overall, any sort of oral health can actually impact the entire body systemically. If you have periodontal disease, that can affect your heart, it can potentially infect the rest of your body, and unfortunately there have been many incidences of untreated oral infection that have led to patients passing away. So in order to help rural populations control their oral health in an area where they previously didn't have any knowledge is honestly a huge privilege, and I'm honored to be a part of this trip that can bring some education and relieve some of the pain from these rural populations that have been so welcoming and so kind to our expedition.
What's inspiring to me about Mongolia, more than anything else, is the spirit of the people. It's a very inspiring culture for me personally, not only in terms of the traditions and the reverence that people have for them, but also in terms of the values that people have, the hospitality they have, the courage that they have, and so on. Mongolia is somewhere which is wild in the best way. It's not a brutal place at all. You know, it's filled with people who are very much caring and very much devoted to their country. Having lived in Mongolia before and then returning to be part of the Khentii 2023 expedition, I have actually gained something new. I've gained a new perspective on Mongolia, actually maybe one which I didn't expect. I think it's really been quite something to work with the scientists and to look at things in a different way, to look at all these wildlife as really, quite valuable, and to look at these archaeological sites and learn and study just how much has happened here and just how much we don't know. For me, it's been a fascinating experience.
Well, for me, archaeology has always been a very interesting subject. It's always been a tie to a deeper human history than history. You go back beyond it and you find lots of mysticism and mystery, and it's always that itch to find the clues that people leave and the symbols that they use in order to evoke meaning and understand life.
I would like to think that an explorer is not quite the same as an adventurer. An adventurer, I feel, is someone who goes out really to challenge himself or herself against the elements or the climate or whatever. But an explorer is very much a person who not only challenges himself, but goes out to find out some information or to give help or to bring something back.
Colonel John's an inspiration because we all look at our future and wonder where we'll be in 20, 30, 40 years' time, and I can only hope that in 40 years I've still got his ability and mental agility to be conducting, planning and executing what is quite a complicated expedition in remote parts of the world, but also what he as an individual particularly brings, his passion, his robust but fair attitude to the individuals around him, but also his ability to interact with not only the Mongolians, but in his previous circa 50 expeditions, people from all around the world who've all come to love and respect him, irrespective of their nation. I think it's his enthusiasm which has been the main driver, and just the way that he interacts with all of us has been an inspiration. I think if you can be half that in 40 years from now, then you're getting somewhere close to being the great man that he is.
So my advice to you is to go out, see the world, meet the people, see what they have to say, and try to understand them. And at the same time, yourselves, try to make the world a slightly better place